Quite often, the stuff we tell you about trans rights can feel irrelevant, really, to your very actual life. But here's a story that brings home, perhaps, what happens when trans ideology meets real life. Nicola Sturgeon's SNP government is making sure that tampons and sanitary towels are available in men's loos to cater for former women who now identify as men. Here's Andrew Doyle to reflect on this one. I mean, it's not a great investment. It's not going to cost a lot of money, but it will strike some people as, given the number of people who will be served by this gesture, a gesture.
Of course. I mean, it's going to affect very, very few people. And you might say, well, it's why even worry about it? It's something you can reasonably ignore. It's not a problem. Really, what this is about is a statement of intent. It's a statement of belief. The SNP is really hammering home the fact that they think that these sex-segregated spaces shouldn't be segregated according to biological sex, but rather gender identity. That's the point of doing this gesture. And this fits into what the SNP have been doing all along. You might recall last month, they changed their wording for their maternity leave policy so they wouldn't use the word mother, even though we're talking about maternity leave here. And that came about because of pressure from Stonewall. And there was actually some documents were released under the Freedom of Information Act, and it turned out that the SNP had made the change specifically because they wanted to score more points in Stonewall's Workplace Equality Index. So effectively what you've got is the Scottish Government acting on behalf of a lobbying group and being rewarded by the lobbying group for those changes, for those policy changes. That's actually quite serious. That's why a lot of people are very concerned about Stonewall's influence, even in the British government as well as the Scottish government. I mean, there was an article by Joe Bartosh the other day about the fact that even within the Tory cabinet, Stonewall has an incredible degree of influence at the moment, and it is concerning. It's not really about tampons in toilets. It's about the bigger picture and what this says about the government at the moment.
And just my introduction there, talking about sometimes we move from the abstract to the real.
Yeah.
My first email today, Andrew, got my first email. Other name, it said chosen pronouns, preferred pronouns. It was for a financial services company.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, you know, I mean, it was just somebody signing off a bit of financial stuff, but I was quite tempted to write back and say something.
Yeah, and people should. More and more they should, because it seems innocuous. It's a couple of words at the end of an email. You can ignore it, that's fine. But it's the equivalent of a declaration in a belief in a certain religious faith coming at the end of an email. It's nothing to do with the other person. You know, this is, by writing your pronouns in your email, you are saying, I subscribe to gender identity ideology. It's something that very few people subscribe to. There's a minority of people who do, but I do.
I think that individual probably just, you know...
Probably doesn't, actually. This is the point. And probably doesn't think through the ramifications of what it means when you do that. And it's interesting because the Scottish Civil Service, they've been encouraging, the SNP has been encouraging the Scottish Civil Service to sign off emails in that way and to declare pronouns at the start of meetings. And 60% of the Civil Service have said they won't do that. You see, at the moment, it's being suggested. People are being encouraged to do so. I wonder how long it will be before it is compulsory. And when it becomes compulsory, then we're into the realms of compelled speech, which is a serious threat to the principle of free speech. And that is what's coming next. I mean, let's make no mistake about that. So we do have to be watchful of this stuff. It seems silly. It's like a couple of words here, a couple of words there. Why would you get all
No, it's pernicious. It's deeply pernicious.
It's because it's about something much bigger than that. It's about ideological capture.